What's up, on my Power Addicts crew? Now, some of you left in the comments, what's going on with Rust Bucket? What's the status on it? We're going to talk about that right now. And here she is in her current state. Now, really this video is about the build series for how I did these fender deletes. You can see that it contours with the hood and makes that nice smooth curvature right there. The video that I'm releasing today is going to be how I made these brackets here that bolt to the fender, and how I shaped them, what a paper template I used to get the whole pattern, all that fun stuff. Now I was looking at releasing all this right here all as one video, but honestly it's going to turn out to be a ridiculously long video. But after going through the footage, I realized I can make each segment educational toward a different situation. Like today, I'm releasing the video on how this piece right here was made, which will fall in line with if you ever need to use a piece of paper or cardboard or foam board or whatever to make templates for metal cutting. Let me show you an example. You see here that I've got part of my both sides put in, which is also acting as part of a floorboard. They're going to come up, tie it up in here somewhere. I haven't got to that point yet. But these right here, I simply took a piece of foam craft board, traced out this pattern right here that I needed, transferred it to this sheet of metal here, and cut it out with a plasma cutter. And I'm going to do a little bit of detail work to put it in there, but it's pretty darn close. So I just now take my plasma cutter, just trim off a little bit here and there, then take my grinder, shape it, detail it, and get ready to weld it in there. But that's all 3/16 plates. I'm going to be able to beat on this baby, and she's going to take a beating and have a good old time. And you can see over there, each one of those parts right there, I used a piece of paper to shape out the template. Then I laid it across the metal, cut the metal out, and just detailed it however I needed it to weld it in. So let's talk about Rust Bucket. 8.8. Right now, the pinion angle is not set because the heck the perches aren't even welded in yet. It's just all kind of roughly bolted in there. We got 11 inches of total stretch from here to there. Stretch came from using springs from an XJ Jeep Cherokee. I moved the spring perches back some to also move the axle back, which gave me a total of 11 inches of stretch. Front axle, as of currently, is staying in the exact same stock location. Rock sliders here acting as tanks, air tanks for onboard air. And you see I've got the back ends of the cab, the turns right here, the raised part of the cab is just sitting there. But that's going to give you an idea of what's coming up, that I'm putting those there. And I'm going to put a false bulkhead right there to right there, fiberglass. I'm not going to use the original tailgate. I'm going to do me a fiberglass bulkhead right there. That way I can take it out, which will open up to my flatbed area. It's going to be back here. Sweet, sweet. No, I need to put my headlight ring back in. I was messing with the headlights. Stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to give you guys a little bit more updates of what's to come on this. So if it's the first time you guys have landed on Power Addicts YouTube channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Because if you want to know how to do Jeep repair, car repair, motorcycle repair, tool tips, things like that, that's the type of videos I do. So if you subscribe, you will not miss a single video, okay? Hit that subscribe button. Let's get on with this. Now, before we start shaping our metal to start our front fenders, we need to look at our holes. And what's the big deal about that? Good question. Take a straight edge, you lay it across your metal here, you can see, like looking down on it, it's pretty well evenly gapped from this edge to this edge and across this right here. Come across the holes here now. That's what you got to watch. See that the holes are even there because the holes are recessed back inside this layer of metal here. But coming up here, lay it across those holes there, and what you got is this is actually protruding out further than this right here. This is flush as it should be, but this hole right here is actually stuck outward. Let's see if you can see how it's sitting outward right there. So what that's going to do whenever I go to shape my metal in flat through here, this section here is going to cause the metal to not be set flat. It'll be kind of sitting like this, and of course, a dramatic angle there. Instead of sitting flat like this, the metal will be kicking out like this a little bit. Not by much, obviously, but that's one of those things you can prevent by knocking that inward. That'll help quite a bit. Let's go check the other side. Take your hammer. It's got the flat face, not the knurling, not the one that's got all the little spiky grips on the end of it. And just tap it. I'm not hitting it hard. I'm actually choking up on the hammer so I don't get crazy. Just tap it up in there, just kind of flush it out a little bit. So now I'm going to get me a wire brush or something to clean some of this rust up. And lay me some paint in there to make it look a little better. Being that I just got off work and I'm about to run out of daylight, I'm instead of making the templates for this piece right here, I'm going to move on back here because those are easy. Got a piece of scrap metal here, 1.5" by 3/16. So what the game plan is, if you see right here, you can see the plug welds coming out underneath the door. You can see how I've got that cut off really super short. That's because I'm doing both sides and rock sliders right here. Well, rock sliders going to consist of a 2" by 4" rectangular tubing that's a 1/4" wall. Super beefy stuff. So with my rock sliders coming all the way down through here and coming back that way, not sure how far back I'm going to take it yet. It's going to come up forward about right along here, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But we do know what I am going to do is take this metal here, cut it to length here, just below that, bring it down to where my rock sliders will come out and be parallel with that. So then that will, right now that gives me the ability to go ahead and cut those two metal strips here, one for each side. Then tomorrow, if I get off work early enough, I'll go ahead and cut and shape them right there. Then I'll be ready to profile the hood with the tubing. Sound good? All right, let's cut some metal. Now I've got that 1.5" cut to length, and actually it's a little bit shorter than I intended, but that's okay because when I bring my rock sliders out this way, I'm gonna have a little bit of that gap right there, but I can always fill that in. I've got some 1" that I can put in here. And maybe what I end up doing is bringing my rock slider out because I want it to be probably right along in here somewhere. We'll figure that out when we get there. But what this is going to do, I'm going to have this come down and tie into my rock sliders anyway. So for it to be a little bit short, it's not going to hurt anything. Now, I drilled my holes oversized, as you can see here and here. I got a lot of movement. And so what I can do at this point is take my bolts, tighten them down until I flush them out with the sides here. Now the reason that being oversized gives me room to play, you know, if I got to shim it up, shim it down, whatever I need to do, it gives me room to do that. But once I get everything tacked in place and I like where everything's setting in, you know, I'm ready to burn all the welds in, I can take my washers, slide it up on this right here and tack my washers in place. That'll locate my centers for this right here, but you'll see that when I get to that point. But I just wanted up front to explain why I over drilled these for 5/16 bolts and knocking that big monster hole through it right there, why I've got so much room. That just kind of gives me wiggle room for fabrication. And like I said, I'll just take that washer, slide up here like this, tack that washer in place, which will locate this part of the fender when it's ready. Cool, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and grind the rust and crap off the other one, throw some paint on them so they don't re-rust. Then I'm gonna start cutting my patterns for that right there. Now my favorite stuff to make templates with is just simple poster board. You can pick this up at Dollar General, your department stores, whatever. Good stuff. It makes easy templates. So I'm laying up against here, and what I've got to follow, this edge right here is pretty well accurate through here. Going through here, you can see it's kind of roguing off a little bit like this. So what I do is take a socket and push outward like this. Okay, obviously it's not marking here, but what it's doing is creating that curve here. Then I'll come back with a pair of scissors and I'll trim that out. And over here, I got my big fat arm stuck up in the camera. Do the same thing over here on this side. You can kind of feel where the curves are coming down. Before I move this, I want to take the camera off here so maybe you guys can see the impression it makes on the paper. Okay, you guys see the line right through here? And right through here. Now all I gotta do at this point is just take my scissors and simply cut along that line right there, and I've got the outer profile of my template. Then I mark my holes. Okay, I took my scissors, just kind of trimmed that out through here. Got the outer profile. Down here I need to establish how far down it comes, because right there's the bottom of my core support. So I simply fold that up there, which gives me my location there. I'll just obviously take scissors, chop that off. Now my hole locations. Now I can hold my template here, kind of pull my paper back, see I've got a hole here and a hole here. Big socket there. See, that one's about right there. And there's several different ways you can use, like I'm doing impressions with sockets. Some people will take pencils and do it, but pencils tend to, you got to put a lot of pressure to create the impression off the metal. But I mean, anything that works for you to create a place to show you where your holes and your lines and all that stuff is. See, I got a hole right there. See, there's my hole. I come down here at the bottom. Got one right here. There it is. I kind of missed it. There's that one. That one's right there. Now, some of these right here, that's showing the center of that hole, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's where the center of the thread holes are. So let me get my little handy dandy multi-tool contraption thing I'm working with here. Where's it at? So like especially for this hole down here. I mean, I know the camera angle you guys can't see it very well, but the hole is showing right here, but the actual center line of the threaded hole is a little bit off center of this hole. So what I'm going to do is, it's about right there is my center. Now come over here, look. It's about right there. And that one's about right over there. That one's a little bit off center. That one, go right there. And that one's like dead on the money, right there. So at this point, I'm going to make my holes in my template. Then I'll come back and size it up here, check my thread holes, make sure they all line up properly, and we'll be good to go. Our template will be good. Do y'all want to see a neat trick for knocking holes in paper? Or even gasket material if you're making your own gaskets? Look right there. 45 ACP. That is a spent round at the target range. You know, my buddy and I, we like to go shooting. We'll take our guns, have a good time. But if you save your brass casings like this, that little thin edge makes an awesome hole punch for your templates. So center that right over top of that. It works a lot better if you're on a 2x4, so it doesn't flex as much. And that's how you do it. And drop your paper. Now we lay our template up here, look at our bolt holes, how they're lining up. Absolutely perfect. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now, like I did that back straight piece back there, I'm going to overcut my holes a little bit, give me a little bit of manipulation room to move my flat bracket around. So therefore I can line everything up before I weld everything in, blah, blah, blah. And again, if I want to put washers in and tack weld the washers in to make it stay centered, I can do that as well. But we'll get to that point later and figure out what I'm gonna do. So let's check the template for the other side. It should be, take this template, flip it for the other side, and be good to go. Actually be like this. Let's go check. I'll go over here on this side, line her up. Yes. Bring it down a little bit. Yep, perfect. Holes line up here, 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 here. Contours here, contours back here. So one template fitting both sides, which I knew it would, but I just want to show you guys. Cool. Now we take this piece right here, trace it out on our metal, and I'm going to take my plasma cutter and chop it out. Now I realize the camera's not picking up the lines very well, but I've already got this traced out. You can see on the blue right here where I used a blue sharpen marker to trace them out. But what you want to do is first you trace out here. Instead of just taking it and flipping it and leaving that edge like that, what you want to do is create a gap between first part, second part, or left, right, passenger, driver, whichever side, however you want to look at it. You want to leave a gap right there because that's what you're going to call your curve. Whenever you cut with whatever kind of type of tool it is, it could be plasma cutter, it could be air cut-off saws, whatever, you've got that gap that the blade creates, or in the case of plasma, the flame creates. You've got that gap, so you want to accommodate for that. So trace it here, flip it over like this, because remember you're going to have passenger driver side brackets and they have to kind of mirror each other. You lay it out like straight here, trace it out. You can see again with the blue I've already done it, and the marking doesn't show up very well on the camera, but nonetheless you see I've got it traced, and I'm about to pull the plasma out and cut her out. Got them roughly cut out. I oversized them just a little bit so I can come back with a grinder and smooth them out a little bit, make them look a little more pretty. Your holes here, I rough cut those, just kind of took the plasma, knocked a hole through them. It's kind of like taking a small drill bit, put the hole in, then stepping up to a larger drill bit. It's just easier to knock a hole here first, then come back with a drill bit, drill them out. Therefore you got nice clean holes to work with. Some people, I've even done it, will cut them out with a plasma and leave it as is. I've done it several times before, but I'll probably drill these, make them a little more uniform. And so let these things cool down a little bit. We'll come back and grind them, drill them, and see how they fit. Oh, I got to make that curve too where the cups up inside the fender, so that curve's got to be bent. So we'll shape that here in a bit also. Now as you can see, I've already drilled the holes out with a drill bit, make them nice and clean. And also notice as well that I clamped these two pieces together. Why did I do that? Simply because as I can drill each one of these holes, I can drill both places at the same time, because each one of these parts are symmetrical from this side over to the other side, meaning that the holes are going to be the exact same place, just a bit depending on right or left hand plate. And then it'll become handed or right handed, left handed once we start making the bends. So until then, they're pretty much symmetrical as in how they're drilled and shaped. So make life easy on yourself, clamp them together, make your holes, drill them together, drill your holes out nice and clean, take your grinder, come through here, flush them out, make all your radius and stuff like that before you start your bends. Therefore it just kind of helps, you get two at once, you kill two birds with one stone, as the saying goes. Another thing some people do, where I clamped them, some people will take the welder and tack weld the parts together. We'll put a tack like here, 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 and here. and make the tack just strong enough to hold the place together, therefore you don't have to use a clamp. I've done that many times, but I had the clamps laying there, so I just did it that way. So now what we're going to look at doing is getting them shaped to these right here. So as soon as I get them shaped, then we can start making our tubing transition here, because I've already got these parts made. Now what we're going to do now is take our plates, and we got our 2 holes here, here, then down here. Kind of eyeball and line them up, kind of see where we're at. And we see we got this massive gap going on here because we got to make it shape and bend here. And if you look down through here, it's pretty well straight until about right there is our tangent point. And what a tangent point is where your circle, where your radius here and your straight line here intersects into a nice clean transition, therefore becoming your tangent point. So your tangent point is about to where that bolt hole is. Why do you care? Because you can start your bend from right along in here down and not fuss too much about up here, because as you make the bend here to make this radius, this will lay pretty much in flat. Now once we get everything kind of pulled into place, what I'll do from there is I'll put bolts in here, pull it up next to the core support, and once I get it pulled into the core support, I may take me some more metal and put it right along the edge so here, weld into the edge, to make it hold its shape and strength a little better. And the reason for putting that in, of course, my fenders are going out here, okay? My side marker lights are gone here as well. So if I put some little bit of metal out here for bracing, you know, to stiffen all this right here up, while I'm at it, I can put me some LEDs out here for turn signal markers and such to keep myself legal as possible. Because I think I mentioned a time or two within this rust bucket build is, it's going to be my play toy, but I also want to try to keep it as close to street legal as I can. And Tennessee laws are pretty lax on stuff like this, so I shouldn't have a problem doing it as long as I don't go totally nuts on it. So now we're going to look and see what we got to do to get this right here bent. Oh yeah, before you get all froggy bending, take your Sharpie marker, and where I mentioned the tangent point, because where the straight comes down to about right here to where it hits the radius, take your marker, kind of draw your line. It ain't gotta be perfect. Across like that right there. Therefore you know where your bend line's gotta be from this point in. Therefore I put bend in, which means this is gonna be flat, this is gotta be bent in, pushing this inward like that. So I have to take it, when I bend it, put this part inside the vise or wherever I decide to bend. I think I'm going to use the back frame on this thing. Then I pull on this part right here, keep flexing this way to make the bends and shape it to this. Sound cool? Let's give that a try, see how it works. Okay, you can see what I've got rigged up here. Here's my marker line. This right here is what needs to be bent. The rest of that's stuck up inside here. So I took this 1-inch tubing right here, clamp it, and I can pull the tubing and I can make my bend. So I've already made a little bit of a bend here. I'm going to move this back to about right here, slide up inside there, move this back to about right along in here and make me another bend. Then I'm going to check it on the body on core support and see how well that turned out. Slide this in to about right along in there or so. Let's see where my line is. About right there or so. Take my tubing, clamp it. Now also you can only clamp it one side and bend it, it'll still work, but the reason I put the second clamp on is that it pretty much holds the tubing up where I don't have to always hold it up, because it wants to pivot right here and drop down. This right here allows it so I can turn loose of it and this tube now want to drop down. So now I'm going to put a little more bend in it. Now just pull on the tubing. I put a little more bend in it. Now honestly, I don't know if I'm putting enough, I'm putting too much, but I am going to put one more bend right there. Put it in the core support and see what we get. Slide that into about right there. here. It tied the clamp a little bit. Now put a little more bend in it. Now we're going to check it on the core support and see where we're at. Sear bend. Alright, let's go check it out, see how it fits. Okay, let's throw it up here. Are you for real? You know, this is one of those times where I wish I had not turned the camera off. Just simply walk the camera back here so you guys can see that I was just ballpark, just spitballing it back here, and I nailed it first time. I can live with that. That's cool. So there you go. I'm going to get me some bolts, put this one in place, and that's going to set us up to where we can start doing some the brace work and the framework through here. I just got lucky. Sweet. Now the tightening procedure I'm going through with is that since I've got this bend right here, once I start putting the bolts in place, I realize it's not absolutely 100% perfect contoured with this. So what you want to do is tighten your center bolt first. I mean, it's just bump snug, that's all it is, which pulls this in a line. Then you come down here, and I've already got this one kind of bumped. If I back it off, I get a little bit of arc out this way a little bit. So just take it, tighten it up, and it pulls that radius in very nicely. And run this one in. This right here is kind of out just a tiny bit. But as I tighten this up, it pulls the contour in right here just perfectly. They're just good and snug, that's all it is. And check out my gap. Ain't that just pretty? So whenever I get all my bracing welded in and stuff like that, then I'll come back and I'll actually flatten all this out, make it look nice and clean. Because if I weld something out here for like a webbing that comes from here out this way or something like that, then I got my tubing which goes in up here. It's going to come along the fender line. Once I get all that stuff put in, you know, then I want to do some grinding anyway. So therefore, I'm just going to let that ride as it is right now. Sweet. It's just pretty. Now you see how easy it is to simply take a piece of paper, cardboard paper, foam board, whatever it is you may want to use to make templates to transfer holes, shapes of metal, and all that fun stuff. Because honestly, it will be kind of hard to get that contour even halfway close by using a piece of plate and just, you know, holding it up there and think you're going to trace it out. It's not going to happen. It's just going to be too difficult. But laying a piece of paper up there like that, or cardboard, foam board, whatever it is you want to use. Honestly, if you got a contour like this, you don't want to use foam board, because whenever you bend that foam board, it tends to want to, I don't know, it doesn't flex as well as using good heavy construction paper, cardboard type stuff. So there you go. That's how you do that. Now I told you guys at the beginning of the video that I was going to give you guys a little bit of a clue as to what's to come for Rust Bucket. Obviously, tied my cap corners right here to make the bed come around like I mentioned earlier. Got the XJ springs, they're part of this conversation, so remember that. They're part of the clue I'm coming up with. And not so much for the hardcore YJers, but unless you're gonna build these fenders like this, what's coming up is a steel inlay right here that I'm gonna do something cool with. Not exactly sure what, but I don't like that triangle. I want to do something with that. But Jeep Cherokee XJ springs, okay, stock. No extra added leaves, nothing like that. Those are stock springs. Stock YJ springs in the front. That's all the lift I've got. So what does that mean I'm gonna do? Well, if I'm not gonna add any more leaves, I'm not gonna change the leaves, I'm keeping the stock leaves, but I want more lift. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna pause. Think about it. Stock leaves, even though those are XJs, I'm not adding more leaves. What am I gonna do? If you guys have guessed spring over conversion, spring over axle, you are correct. So what I'll be doing is taking this 8.8. Right now, this is what you call a spring under situation. The spring is under the axle. But since I don't have my purchase welded in quite yet, because I've got to do the tummy tuck to the rigs to pick the transmission and all that stuff up to give me some more clearance, which I'll get to that here in a moment. With a spring over conversion, the springs here, for those of you who don't know what that is, spring is going to go on top of the axle. So there it gives me lift there. Now the rear end's easy. Front end not so much. So there you go. There's a clue as to what I'm going to be doing. If you guys want to do spring over conversion, I'm going to show you guys how to do it the right way. Not none of this rigged up crap. I'm going to show you how to do it the right way. Now I mentioned the tummy tuck. What that does is the transfer case, the belly pan right here, skid plate, I get up, man. Picking it up, which also raises the transmission, transfer case, and engine, everything. It raises all that upward to give me more clearance under the bottom. And plus I'll be building a cross member to support all that. Therefore I can drop my skid plate anytime I want to, but not have to affect the engine or anything like that. So it's going to be a cross member built to support all that, allow me to much easier access to everything to work on it. So to everyone out there that's been asking about Rust Bucket, I really appreciate your interest in her. I mean, it's really cool that I can take a rusted out piece of junk like this and just chop it up for a toy, and everyone out there is getting a little bit of value and entertainment out of me building this old junker here. I'm kind of having fun with this build here. I get to go nuts and do what I want to. I really enjoy it. So everyone out there, appreciate you hanging out with me. Peace out, later y'all, but don't forget, share these videos, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to hit that thumbs up when you like the video, and leave us cool comments down below. Tell me what you think about Rust Bucket, tell you if you like the way she's turning out, or if you got any cool ideas that I haven't thought of, throw them down there. There's been some people asking questions about, am I going to do the bed liner coating on it? Right now I'm leaning toward no. I thought about it at one point, but I think my other rig, that one is going to get the bed liner treatment. This one not so much. More than likely this one right here is going to do something totally different. So anyway, you leave the comments down below. Peace out. Later y'all. One more thing. See that seat right there? Can any of you guys, by looking at it, tell me what the manufacturer is? Now who makes this seat? Obviously it's not Recaro or Corbo or anything like that. It's some cheap knockoffs, which I'm totally cool with. But I want to know what manufacturer, what brand it is, whatever, so I can, one, order a different color. I want red for the covers, and plus I want to order another one that matches it. Now to everyone out there that's been asking about Rust Bucket, I really appreciate your interest in that, because it really lets me know that even though it's just a rusted out old